Hello, hello. My name is Rhea, and welcome to another 20-second Game Jam game. This is Gentleman Adventurer Crocodile, made by Accidents. All right, so this is a story. This story is taking far too long. Some other time, Grandpa. Oh, click to advance. I'm clicking. Out of my way, old man. Good day, young friend. Oh, come sit in the sun and listen to the tales of adventure. I don't have time to listen to your prattle. There are fish in the river, and I mean to eat them. Whoa! Wait. The fish will taste better after I delight you with stories of my adventures. All man's stories are tedious. What if I were to tell you there'd be wondrous lands, strange people, exotic spices? Tempting. Wealth, power, friendship, betrayal, shipwrecks, and pastry. All right. As you wish, old man. I will listen to your stories. But I warn you, I will not enjoy them. The story's taking too long, Grandpa. Some other time. Okay, so what we're gonna do. Okay, this is a story. We gotta give Grandpa a voice and we gotta give the crocodile a voice. Okay, so the crocodile's gonna be a little girl because she don't care about stories. She's too busy. She's like 4 years old. She's got stuff going on. Okay, but Grandpa's old, so he'll just be an old man. And then she'll be a little girl, really excited about the story. Let's try again. Okay. Oh. Okay, I will enjoy them. We shall see. Now the most important question: where to begin? Have you stayed in a grand place? I found myself in a splendid port city on the Indian Ocean. I don't remember all the specifics, but I do recall being arrested for stealing a diamond. You stole a diamond? Oh, God, wait. Of course not. I was not raised to steal diamonds, the very thought. This story is taking... Okay. Hold on. Okay. So why were you arrested? Hard to say. My memory is dim. Did you escape? Yes, that's possible. It sounds like something I would do. Well, have a good think about it and then go tell your story to a hippo because I'm out of here. See you later, old man. Okay. Were you marooned on a desert island? The first thing one notices when one is in a Falkland Islands is that there is nothing much to notice on the Falkland Islands. There never was a more godforsaken corner in the world. While my island was not completely deserted, it may have well been. For my sole companions were sheep, great numbers of feral sheep. I spent my time there shepherding them. Okay. You're not about to start counting them, are you? You were already making me sleepy. You're quite right. Sheep can be lacking in excitement and drama. You promised me tales of adventure and said you'd give me wool? I know there was something more important, but it has quite escaped me. And I'm about to escape you too. Good day, old man. All right, okay. What's the coldest place in the world? I found myself in Terra Australis, a vast continent made of ice down at the very bottom of the world. Amazing. Why were you there? Do you know? I can't quite remember, but the important thing is that it was very, very cold indeed. How cold was it? Colder than any crocodile could bear. We cold-blooded creatures. Hey! Cold-blooded creatures are not made to live in very low temperatures. Oh no. Oh, how did you survive? I remember there were some others there. They all perished, and I suppose I must have perished too. This is nonsense. How can you have died and still be here? I can only assume that I am not here. My body is most likely still there, preserved by the ice and snow. But you're here telling me this ridiculous story. True. Perhaps I am a ghost or a figment of your imagination. I have my limits, old man. This story is over. I'm going to catch my lunch at the river. Good day. Wait, so out of curiosity. Story's not complete. Okay. A memoir. Can you tell me about life in the big city? In the region known as Lower Canada, I took lodgings in a city where I stowed my belongings and took low-paid jobs washing dishes. I cleaned plates and bowls, I wiped glasses and cups, I scrubbed pots and pans. I took pride in my work, and word of my talent spread. Soon enough, I was working for very slightly more money in a very slightly better restaurant. No offense, old man, but this doesn't sound like a great adventure. No, I suppose not. But I was very good at my job. People used to like the way I deftly mopped the ramekins. This story has nothing more gripping than ramekins? Ramekins? What is that? Oh, I'm sure there was. I just can't think of it right now. I suppose I was content with my humble life. You may have been content, but I am not. Good day, sir. Okay. Where's the story? Where's the adventure? Hold on, let's skip all this. I forgot what he asked. The river. I've never known such peace as I have known on these banks. Was it always peaceful here? I don't remember a time when it wasn't. What was it like when you were young? Oh, I was never here when I was young. I was too busy traveling the world and having adventures. You're supposed to be telling me about them. Am I? You're quite right. I don't seem to remember the specifics right now. You're wasting my time, old man. Time to go catch some fish. Hey, come on, I want excitement. That story's about home, okay. So I didn't read it again. I have found myself on the continent of New Holland. Oh, I gotta... Of New Holland, named Australia by some. I had nothing to my name but the shirt on my back and shackles on my ankle. What are shackles? Shackles are chains attached to the ankles of prisoners to stop them from running away. Why were you wearing them? You know, I can't quite remember. It may come back to me. You don't remember why you were wearing prisoner shackles? Could it be because you were a prisoner? I assume it must be something like that. My memory is not what it once was. What kind of story is this? I had thought it was a very good one, although now I'm not so sure. This is the worst story I've ever heard. Goodbye, old man. Oh my god, okay. Okay. Which land has the strangest people? Oh my god. Oh, this is the one. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, woo. My story begins in a house near the city of London. Inside that house lived a kindly old gentleman who had purchased a curious-looking egg. Inside the egg was none other than myself. Once I had hatched, I was so dashing and handsome that the old fellow adopted me on the spot and raised me as his own son. I spent my early years listening to stories about his travels around the British Empire, of incredible lands, extraordinary sights, and unbelievable customs. Alas, the day came after the coronation of Queen Victoria. My father did not awaken from his sleep. I was sent away from the warm and happy home to school. Young people can be very kind, but also have a great capacity for cruelty. I was never accepted by the children of the school. Every day I was mocked and taunted for my long snout and green skin. It still distresses me to think about it. There was but one boy in the entire school who looked upon me as a friend, and we became much like brothers, though we could not have been much more different. Manu was small and slight. While I was already 7 feet long from nose to tail with powerful muscles and razor-sharp teeth, Manu had been bullied and beaten from the moment he arrived. But that ended the day we met. The other boys were brave, and when they called us names from a distance, they did not dare to come within reach of my teeth. Where Manu excelled at mathematics and languages, I have never been gifted in that way. My field of excellence was sport. On my first day, I broke all of the school swimming records, and by the end of my first month, I showed remarkable skill at almost every sporting event. I quickly became the captain of the school rugby team. Success leads to jealousy, and I was singled out by Lorian Goodlock, the most horrendous bully in the school. Having been the former rugby captain, he was aggrieved to have lost his position to a lowly and ill-bred foreigner. In my second year of school, a pocket watch went missing from the headmaster's room, and after a brief search, it was found amongst my belongings. I protested my innocence, but only Manu listened to me. The professor seemed all too eager to accept that I had committed this crime. The mere fact that I was so different from them all was all the proof they needed. If I had not been a reptile, I believe I would have been expelled, and that would have been an end to it. Instead, I was prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I was sentenced to be deported to the penal colony on the far side of the world. I cried real tears of pity for myself. However inhospitable this land might be, however strange and cruel the people in it was the only home I'd ever known. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Okay, have you stayed in your grandpa's house? Okay, are there crocodiles in other lands? By the time Okay. I've already asked about these things, so I can just read these stories. This is really a story. This is a book, so if you're into books, we're getting somewhere. Okay, hold on. Okay. By the time I arrived in New Holland, known to some as Australia, I had become dull and... Oh, no. Oh, okay. By the time I had arrived in New Holland, known to some as Australia, I had become dull and angry being. I vowed to be done with humanity at the earliest opportunity. I was assigned to a work gang, digging irrigation channels in the riverbanks under the watchful eyes of armed guards. Towards the end of my first week, I was clearing the beds of reeds. There was an astonishing flash of motion, and I felt sharp teeth around my neck, pinning me in place. I froze, shocked and afraid. The teeth released me, and I turned to see the most enormous crocodile, easily twice my length. You are dressed as a human, but you are not a human, said the crocodile with cautious eyes on me. Certainly not, I replied with indignation. crocodile like you, but of West African species. Then I will let you live, but these humans who came with you, these newcomers, they belong in my belly. I can't say that I blamed him. In my anger at humankind, I almost offered to help him, but some vestige of civilization remained with me. My friend, these unfortunates, did not choose this life. If anyone deserves to be eaten, it is the terrible people who forced them to come here. Seeing the guards, the crocodile bolted from the reeds and ate them before they knew what was happening. I did not mean for those poor guards to die, I stammered in surprise. But what's done is done. Be free, little brother. Take your friends with you. My fellow prisoners fled to begin new lives elsewhere on the continent, while I swam up the harbor and stowed myself away in the first ship I found. I found out later that this ship was named Adventure, and it was headed south. Cool. Is this kid, saying anything? That's right, okay. Gotta start over. Hold on. Okay, so it's the last one. And then it's the crocodiles and other lands. And then... okay, so it's just the last one every time. Maybe? Oh no, that's our home. Okay. So you had to figure out the right order. No. Okay. Okay, the last one. Coldest place in the world. Okay, I'm gonna write this down. I have so many notes going on right now. I'm a very notey person. Okay. Let's see what happens next to Grandpa. I found my way deep into the ship and hid in a pen full of dogs. The dogs were far from happy about this arrangement, but quieted down once it was clear I had no intention of harming them. A man came to find me out why the dogs were barking. Seeing me, he let out a squeak of surprise and exclaimed, "You're looking very green, my pup. No doubt you'll have the seasickness." I lived there in the pen for weeks as the temperature slowly dropped. Crocodiles do not cope well in the cold, and curling up with the dogs kept me warm and alive. To my absolute delight, several litters of adorable puppies were born on the journey. Finally, we landed at Terra Australis, a vast Antarctic continent of ice, down at the very bottom of the world. The dog handler, whose name was Dolly, came to harness the adult dogs. I had no choice but to let him harness me, muttering as he did so about what a sickly-looking pup I was. On the ice, I felt the killing bite of the cold. As soon as no one was looking, I slipped off my harness and hurried back to the ship. I could not continue to pretend to be a dog, so I crept into an empty cabin and stole some warm winter clothing. Clothing alone would not be enough to keep a cold-blooded reptile alive, so I returned to the dog pen and stuffed my woolen undergarments with some delightfully warm puppies, and I filled my pockets with dried food. What? A man with a sternly authority held me. "Ah, Dolly, there you are. Good God, man, you're looking very green. I heard you had come down with a sudden fever. Are you sure you're fit to join the expedition?" I could not betray myself by speaking, so I nodded, and we left the ship together. The stern man was Sir Major Dickerson Malmsley, a former officer from the East Indian Company, turned explorer and the captain of the ship. Under his leadership, we set out foot for the South Pole, the lowest point in all the world. My duties were to tend to the dogs and the sled that carried our equipment and supplies. While the explorers bravely walked on ice, I would dismantle the camp, pack the equipment, and stow it on the sled. Then I would jog alongside the sled as the dogs ran on to our next halt. There, I would set up camp and prepare dinner for when the explorers arrived. After several days, the explorers became sick with a fever, and we stayed in the camp. When the food ran out, the captain ordered me to cook the dogs. By this time, it was clear that no human would ever leave this camp alive, and killing the dogs would only have delayed the inevitable. I took the dogs and made my way back to the ship. Back on the ship, I found that Dolly had also succumbed to fever, and the crew had been spared. I led them to believe that I was Sir Dickerson and that I was feeling unwell. I gave orders to set sail for anywhere warm, and I quarantined myself in the major's cabin. I'm sure some of the crew had their doubts about me, but so we did. Okay, we are making some progress on this story. Where do we go next, Grandpa? Okay, we got the last one. The one about Cold. Oh, God. And then... Oh, man, I messed up. Okay, so not the deserted island. Oh. Cold. Life in a big city? No. Okay. Grand Palace. Okay. First. Okay, let's see. What happened when we got there? I found myself at the splendid port city on the Indian Ocean. Dressed in the fine clothes of Sir Dickinson, I walked from the docks to the marketplace where all manner of delights awaited me. This city was alive with sights, sounds, and smells, and I was hungry to take it all in. Seeing a palace beyond the market, I walked up to the gate and asked the guard who the palace belonged to. The guard looked at me for a moment, and then he seized my arm. Soldiers poured out of the palace and wrestled me to the ground. Being young and very strong, I could have prevented this quite easily, but it would have been unsportsmanlike to use my teeth on these men. So I found myself a prisoner for the second time in my life. I was taken inside the palace, and I stayed there for days waiting to be tried, for I knew not what crime. I was taken to Maharaja, the king of this region. A gentleman in fine clothing addressed me. Sir Dickinson, you are accused of stealing Maharaja's most precious diamond. Falsely accused once more. And I opened my mouth to protest when a young man stepped into my view from behind the throne. It was Maharaja's son, Prince Manu, my old friend from school. I heard that Sir Dickinson's last act in India before setting out on his expedition was to enter the palace with a troop of soldiers and make off with the most valuable items he could. With Manu's help, I was able to explain that I was not Sir Dickinson, despite all appearances. I was allowed to return to the ship, where I searched Sir Dickinson's cabin and found the diamonds in his luggage, along with several other valuable objects. I restored these items to the Maharaja, and in return, he offered me his daughter's hand in marriage, as is customary for kings to do. Naturally, I declined. The princess was indeed most beautiful, but I planned to sail over the ocean, and a cramped ship was no place for a princess. I confess that the thing I wished for the most in the world was to return to the market and enjoy the colors and smells of the wondrous spices. I was soon presented with a jeweled chest containing the richest and most exciting spices imaginable. In truth, my greatest reward was the opportunity to spend time with my good friend Manu. We shared memories and laughs about our most ridiculous schoolmasters. Manu told me that not long after I was sent to Australia, Florian Goodlock, the school bully, was found to have stolen money from one of the master's rooms and quietly expelled. After some days not wishing to outstay my welcome at the palace, I thanked Manu and his family for their gracious hospitality and left to return to the ship. On my way, I was met by the princess. She told me that she wished to explore the world, and with the full blessing of her father, I was to take her to the world of the Americas. Ooh, this is getting exciting. Okay. Coldest. Okay. Are you moving on, Desert Island? That sounds right? Yeah. For the home ones last. Okay. As we neared Argentina, a storm of indescribable proportions blew up and sank our ship. Being an extremely strong swimmer, I tried my best to help everyone. I collected the princess, the crew, who were my good friends by this time, and I brought them to the floating wreckage of the ship. After 5 days of thirst, fatigue, and despair, only myself and the princess survived. We clutched a broken spar and swam westward towards the Argentinian shore. We washed up on a beach dotted with grass and weeds. By the beach, a wind-blown plain of grass. Upon the grass, sheep and nothing more. A little inland, we found a small hollow and managed to light a fire of grass and driftwood. We ate roast mutton for dinner. We stumbled into the Falkland Islands, a long, disputed and little inhabited, god-forsaken pair of rocks in the ocean. For 5 years, the Princess Ishvari and I lived on our island. Ships stopped from time to time, but none would take us aboard without money to pay for our passage. We bartered for goods with the wool we gathered. By day, we would tend to the sheep. By night, we would bake. Ishvara was educated in Paris, where she learned the art of baking fine pastries. Such wonders she could create from little flour, sugar, and butter made from sheep's milk. I soon learned the basics and became quite a baker myself, though I never had half as much skill as her. One day while exploring the island, Ishvari discovered some crates washed upon the shore, and among them my chest of spices. How our lives were transformed. What were once delicate and dainty morsels now became explosions of flavor. In truth, we were never unhappy on that island. Ishvari, whom I once thought a delicate princess, was strong, adventurous, spirited, and wickedly funny. I loved every moment I spent in her company. Every conversation was a joy, every argument a blaze of fire. Neither of us wished to leave. It did not last. She developed a cough, and within a month, her soul departed the island for good. The very next day, a ship anchored by the island to take on supplies. I prized a jewel from the Maharaja's chest and took passage to Buenos Aires. The time that followed was hard. I do not remember much of it, and I do not wish to remember it. My chest of spices strapped to my back, I walked north and did not stop until I walked no more. I could walk no more. Okay. Hey, Grandpa, we're getting somewhere. You're taking your time, but we're getting somewhere. Okay. Cold. Grand Palace. And then Desert Island. Life in the big city. Okay, I gotta write these down or I'm gonna forget. Okay. My long walk came to an end in Lower Canada. I took lodgings in a city, stowed my belongings, and took the first low-paying job I could find. I worked for a long time as a dishwasher until I chanced upon a notice seeking skilled bakers. I was perhaps not as gifted as they would have liked, but the bakery was desperate, so they took me on. I lost myself in work, laboring for stretches of 12 to 16 hours a day. I learned every trick and every nuance in the ways of baking. When I could learn no more, I sold the remaining jewels from the Maharaja's chest and started my own bakery. The pastries we sold were the finest in all the city, and the business grew to the most special pastries. I added tiny pinches of my marvelous spices. The pastries was raging success. The pastry was a raging success. People from around the world trekked over the land and sea to taste my eclairs. And that is how Manu found me. I had been so ashamed of myself for what I might say to Manu and his father about Ishvari that the thought of speaking to them drove me to despair. Manu listened to my account with his head lowered, tears dampening his cheeks. At the end, he embraced me and thanked me for taking care of his sister until her final day. Manu stayed in the city and we became business partners. He arranged for spices to be shipped from India to our new factory, and he provided the capital to expand the business throughout both Lower and Upper Canada. We opened branches in cities all over the world. The business consumed me and gave me a new purpose in life, but just as business sank its teeth into my hide, my own teeth were starting to show. I hired and fired staff on a whim. I forced my employees to work longer and harder until many could not stand the pressures and crumbled. I replaced them with others who were willing to do more for less. I sent suppliers into bankruptcy with punishing contracts, and I lowered the quality of our products while raising the prices. Profits furnished my bank accounts and dollar bills lined my dreams. Over the years, many people had tried to paint me as a monster. I'm ashamed to say I proved them right. Manu told me of his concerns, and I paid him no heed. He told me that his sister would not recognize the crocodile I had become, and I saw that he was right. I took passage once more for a distant land. Ooh, Grandpa got mean. Night cold. First. Desert Island. Big city. Okay, I gotta read this and then we can come back and continue. The Gold Coast of Africa. Here, on this bend of Volta River, we live in a thriving community of crocodiles. The people who come here are civilized. They respect and admire us, and we in turn have respect for them. To some degree. At least we do not eat them very often. It was not always this way. When I returned here to the place that gave me life, I found death. Crocodiles were hunted by wicked men who brought trophies for their walls. Men who bragged over dinner about how brave they were in the face of unarmed animals. For my part, I drove out a number of hunters. Among them, I was surprised to encounter Florian Goodluck, the bully who had tormented me at school. He boasted to me that he had stolen the headmaster's pocket watch and hidden it amongst my belongings. He must have thought he had the better of me, armed as he was with a rifle and pistol, and accompanied by his retinue of servants. He underestimated my anger, my speed, and my ferocity. It was the first and only time I tasted human flesh. I sent word to Manu, who came with the Maharaja and a troop of soldiers to drive out the remaining hunters. In time, crocodiles from neighboring areas came to enjoy the safety of our sanctuary, along with hippopotami, waterfowl, and all manner of animals. We talked of Ishvari, and how much we both missed her sharp sense of humor. I asked if he had given his blessing to her to travel aboard my ship. As she had told me, he hesitated, looking to the sky, and nodded once. I told them I had made up my mind to stay here. I left my share of the company to Manu, and I would not take any payment. I knew he would run it better than I ever could. Manu and his father continued to visit me from time to time, as long as their age and the difficulties of travel allowed them. Nowadays, apart from the occasional delicious poacher, we aren't troubled by hunters. Visitors who come to this part of the river are more interested in taking photographs than trophies. Best of all are the wonderful young crocodiles who have only known a life of peace and are polite enough to listen to the rambling stories of old men like me. That was nice! That was nice. It took a minute to get there, and it was long, but it was a nice story. He had a crazy life. It kind of makes you wonder, like, if you actually sat down and listened to your grandparents, what they would tell you. Like, my grandfather used to talk all the time, my great-grandfather, but I was so young before he passed away that I don't remember half the stories or, like, ever cared to listen, and I wish I could go back and, like, listen to everything he had said. Oh, man. Makes you wonder, huh? So listen to your grandparents, listen to their stories. Don't be this little twerp and only give them a 20-second attention span. Anyway, if you guys want to check out this game or the 20-second jam, I will leave it linked down below. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Rhea, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!